Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel. And today I'm going to go to my AEW All Out review. Number one, man, before I get into anything, man, what a crazy night last night was, man. A lot of surprises, which I will get into towards the end of this podcast, man. But the winds are definitely sailing way towards AEW, man. AEW is doing a phenomenal job of everything they've been doing as of late, man. It's been an absolutely crazy time right now for AEW. But going into the first match of the night here, we have Miro defending the TNT Championship against Eddie Kingston. Number one, I thought this was a really good opening matchup. It was a back-and-forth matchup between both Eddie Kingston and Miro. Kingston was keeping the pace in the match. Eddie was landing devastating chops throughout this entire match, but Miro ultimately hits a side kick on Eddie Kingston, pins him for the 3, and your winner of the match, and still AEW TNT champion, is Miro. Couple things I'll take away from this match. Number one, this was a really good opening matchup for All Out last night, which I was kind of surprised it started the event, to be honest with you. I thought it was going to be the Women's Casino Battle Royal, but we go right into an Eddie Kingston versus Miro match, which was absolutely awesome. The other thing, too, is I think Eddie Kingston was the toughest test right now for Miro, hands down. Since Miro has held this championship, with all due respect to all the competitors that went against Miro for this TNT championship, I still believe Eddie Kingston was one of those guys that was the toughest challenge yet for Miro and for his TNT championship. So hats off to Eddie Kingston, and again, hats off to Miro for getting the win in this match and retaining the AEW TNT championship. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It is Jon Moxley versus Kojima. Again, this is a good matchup, back and forth matchup between both Jon Moxley and Kojima. Kojima was keeping the pace of the match, but Jon Moxley ultimately hits a paradigm shift on Kojima, pins him for the 3, and your winner of the match is Jon Moxley. After the match, though, some kind of crazy music is playing in the Titantron, and next, all of a sudden, we see none other than Minoru Suzuki from New Japan come down to the ring. The crowd completely erupts when he comes down to the ring. Both Suzuki and Jon Moxley are face to face. Then all of a sudden, both Suzuki and Jon Moxley both exchange in the middle of the ring. And Suzuki hitting a pile driver on Jon Moxley in the middle of the ring. And that was it. A couple things I'm going to say about this right now, man. The Forbidden Door is absolutely insane, and that door is broken wide open at this point. To see Minoru Suzuki show up at AEW, show up on All Out, and pretty much go toe-to-toe with Jon Moxley is absolutely insane, man. Minoru Suzuki is an absolute legend in the game. He's been wrestling for a long, long time, and the guy's insane, man. Especially for a guy his age. I think he's up there definitely in his 50s. Probably close to 60, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, he looks, I think he's like 50-some years old, man. He looks absolutely in phenomenal shape. And with that being said, and because this happened, we're going to get Moxley versus Suzuki. I believe it's going to be this week for AEW Dynamite, which I'm absolutely thrilled to see, man. It's great to see New Japan talent on AEW television, man. I think it's great. And Jon Moxley, man. Jon Moxley is the main person right now, the catalyst, if you will, keeping that forbidden door open between AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling. And for the past couple weeks, Jon Moxley has been calling for, if you will, for a match between himself and Tanahashi, which would be absolutely insane. I'm hoping we get that maybe at Full Gear. I think it would be awesome. I think it would be absolutely insane, man. And Jon Moxley right now is that one guy that's keeping that door open between New Japan and AEW, which I'm all for, man. There's a lot of good talent over in New Japan. Now, I'd love to see more, talent come over, especially Okada. I think Okada showing up for AEW, whether it be a pay-per-view or a Dynamite or a Rampage, whatever the case may be, I think would be absolutely awesome. That's just to name one person that New Japan has. I mean, even seeing the Bullet Club show up on Dynamite and challenge the Elite would be absolutely insane, which, again, I have my own belief on that, which I will get to at the end of this podcast. But, again, it was great seeing Minoru Suzuki show up in AEW, and again, hats off to Jon Moxley for getting the win in that matchup. Moving on from that, we go to our next scheduled match of the night. It is Chris Statlander versus Britt Baker for Baker's AEW Women's Championship. Again, this was a good matchup, man. It was a back-and-forth matchup between both Chris Statlander and Britt Baker. Statlander was keeping the pace of the match, but Baker hits a devastating curb stomp off the steel steps on the outside on Chris Statlander, and then Baker hits a Panama Sunrise off the top rope on Chris Statlander. That was absolutely insane, and the crowd completely erupted after that happened, paying a little homage, I guess, to her fiance Adam Cole, which was absolutely awesome. Baker then quickly applies a lockjaw on Chris Statlander, and your winner of the match by submission is Britt Baker. She retains the AEW Women's Championship. A couple things I'll say about this match as well. Chris Statlander. Big fan of Chris Statlander, man. I think, Statlander will at one point wear the AEW Women's Championship in her career in AEW. I definitely see it. She's been on one hell of a tear since she came back from injury, and it's phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal to see it. She's definitely one of those top female talents that they have on that roster right now. And Britt Baker. I mean, Baker is red hot right now, man. Baker is one of those people that are carrying the AEW banner on their back. And she's definitely doing one hell of a job by doing that. Now, especially with the Women's Casino Battle Royal that happened later on tonight, I definitely think the women's division is going to start heating up here soon, hopefully. Especially with the Joker that showed up last night for AEW's Casino Battle Royal. So I am definitely looking forward to what's going to happen with Baker next and where that storyline might lead. But again, hats off to Britt Baker for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we go on to our next match of the night. It is the Young Bucks versus the Lucha Bros for the AEW Tag Team Championships in a steel cage match. Again, this was a great match, man. It was a back-and-forth matchup between both the Bucks and the Lucha Bros. The Bucks were keeping the pace of the match. Matt then, Brandon Cutler throws a bag over the fence of the steel cage. Matt Jackson opens up that bag, and it's none other than a Nike shoe. And at the bottom of the Nike shoe has tacks just imprinted into the bottom of the sole of the shoe. Matt hits a super kick on Penta using the tack shoe, which looked absolutely brutal, man. Penta was busted wide open. But Penta then hits a Canadian Destroyer off the top rope. Looked absolutely brutal. Young Bucks and then the Lucha Bros both exchanged in the middle of the ring, which was crazy. All the super kicks, all the different exchanges were just absolutely insane. Phoenix then gets to the top of the cage, hits a crossbody off the top of the cage. But then Phoenix and Penta ultimately hit the finish on the Young Bucks, pin for the 3, and your winners of the match and new AEW Tag Team Champions are the Lucha Bros. Again, man, I put this in my preview predictions not too long ago. I picked the Lucha Bros to get the win in this matchup. I did. I thought the Lucha Bros, I think it was time for the Young Bucks to kind of pass the title to somebody else. I do. And I think the Lucha Bros were the best tag team that they had to offer right there at that point right now. Not taking anything away from Jurassic Express. I think they're a phenomenal tag team. But the Lucha Bros were definitely that team that can elevate that tag team division. They are definitely one tag team that I wanted to see champions, and by God, it happened last night. And to me, honestly, it was the match of the night. It was very hard to top that match in my honest opinion. Those guys beat the hell out of one another and put on a phenomenal performance for the fans. And again, it just goes to show you how much tag team wrestling means to professional wrestling. Because these tag teams for AEW, man, they tear the house down every single time they get in the ring. Especially these two teams, man. These two teams that know each other so well, wrestle each other on the indies. It was one of the big first storylines that the Bucks had when AEW came into existence. I mean, it was great. The press conference they had when they introduced the Lucha Bros to AEW, it was just great, man. And to see the match they put on last night and how much they time, effort, the work they put in. I mean, Phoenix was off the scene for months, due to injury. You know what I mean? It was just Penta pretty much on his own. You know what I mean? And then having Ray Phoenix come back and then just to beat the hell out of the Young Bucks and become the new AEW Tag Team Champions just goes to show you how much time and effort and work that the Lucha Bros put in to get this win. I mean, both those guys were busted wide open in that matchup. I mean, it was brutal. You see Penta's family come up and they're upset and they're crying and stuff like that. I mean, it was just absolutely insane to see that. So, again, hats off to the Lucha Bros for getting a win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It is the Casino Battle Royal for the women. Again, it was a really good matchup. There was a lot of notable names that were involved in this Casino Battle Royal, such as, Jay Cargill, who I thought in the beginning was going to win this match, Ty Conti, Thunder Rosa, Anna Jay, Sky Blue, who was a big name, it seemed like, for this Women's Battle Royal. She was definitely over with the fans. Nyla Rose. That's just to name a couple, man. There was a lot of really good female talent in this. Big Swole, she was also a part of this Casino Battle Royal. But everybody was anticipating the Joker, who the Joker was going to be in this match. And that Joker was none other than Ruby Soho, a.k.a. Ruby Riott. She makes her AEW debut last night for the Women's Casino Battle Royal. The crowd completely erupted. Um, and not only that, the last two competitors that were in that match was none other than Thunder Rosa and Ruby Soho, which I thought was a great way to end the Women's Casino Battle Royal because, I mean, Thunder Rosa is a phenomenal talent, man. I mean, even seeing her time in NWA Power, I mean, she had phenomenal matches and made a big name for herself that she already had even, it made it even bigger when she worked for NWA. And since she's been in AEW, man, she's been on one hell of a tear, man, put on phenomenal matches. And to see Thunder Rosa and Ruby Soho as the last two competitors in that Battle Royal was just awesome. It was a great way to end the matchup. But Ruby Soho ends up getting the win by eliminating Thunder Rosa. She will now get an opportunity at the AEW Women's Champion Britt Baker, which I am all for seeing that, man. I think it's going to be a great storyline. And that's the main thing about AEW is their women's division. It was lacking depth, and talent. Not taking anything away from the talent they have on that roster right now, but they need more names. And to me, Ruby Soho is a big name. She came over from WWE with the Riot Squad and, all the women that were on the Riot Squad, Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan, and then having Ruby Riot as the catalyst, if you will, for the Riot Squad, and then have her come over to AEW. And I think Tony Khan and everybody involved in bringing her over here did a phenomenal job with the videos and the vignettes that were played, hyping her arrival, if you will, to possibly AEW, and that's exactly what we got last night with her showing up and getting the win in that Women's Casino Battle Royal. I think it was absolutely phenomenal to see, man. And even seeing like the post interviews that she did after, All Out. I mean, she was so excited, man. And not only that, it seemed like she was a free spirit. A lot of these people, to me, that are in WWE are just, hating life. They just don't want to be there. They want to wrestle, man. It's not about the sports entertainment. These people want to wrestle. They want to be a part of professional wrestling, and that's exactly what AEW fans want, and that's exactly what they're getting. And I cannot be more excited to see what AEW does in the future, man. I mean, All Out last night was a phenomenal show. Phenomenal show, and I feel like it's the beginning of what Tony Khan and AEW have in plans, for us, the fans. I think it's going to be absolutely insane. But hats off to Ruby Soho for getting the win in that matchup. Moving on from that, we go into our next scheduled match of the night. It is Chris Jericho versus MJF with the stipulation of if Chris Jericho were to lose this match, he would no longer be a wrestler, in-ring wrestler, if you will, for AEW. Again, it was a back-and-forth matchup between both Jericho and MJF. Jericho was keeping the pace of the match, but MJF hits a Judas effect on Jericho, pins him for the 3, but Jericho's leg was on the ropes. Aubrey Edwards didn't see Jericho's leg on the ropes. Another referee came down to reverse the call. Jericho then quickly applies the walls of Jericho on MJF, and your winner of the match by submission is Chris Jericho. Again, this was a really good matchup, man. And I like the way it kind of initially ended with having MJF thinking he got the win. Referee Aubrey Edwards didn't see the leg on the ropes. Referees reversed the call, had the match continue, and then obviously have Jericho apply the walls of Jericho on MJF, and you obviously allow him to get the win. I think it's absolutely phenomenal, man. And Jericho needs to stay with AEW. He's a big time name for them, and one of the first big names they had signed to AEW. And what they're doing right now with Inner Circle and everything that they're doing right now, man, AEW is red hot. And I want Jericho to be around to see that and put on phenomenal matches for the fans and see what else they do with the Inner Circle. So I'm very excited that he got the win in that matchup. So hats off to Chris Jericho for getting the win in that match. Moving on from that, we go into our next scheduled match of the night, the match that everybody was anticipating the entire night. It is Darby Allin versus CM Punk. Again, this was a great matchup. It was a back-and-forth matchup between both Darby Allin and CM Punk. Darby was keeping the pace of the match. Punk hits a GTS, sends Darby out of the ring. Darby then hits a swanton off the top rope on CM Punk on the outside. Punk then hits a GTS on Darby Allin, pins him for the 3, and your winner of the match is CM Punk. After the match, though, you can see Sting coming down the ramp, going into the ring to help out Darby Allin, help him get up. Obviously he shook CM Punk's hand. CM Punk was trying to get Darby Allin up as well. This was just a great match, man. It was great to see CM Punk in the ring after being gone from wrestling for 7 years. It was great to see him have a match, and a phenomenal match at that. Obviously, there was a little ring rust. You know what I mean? He's really wasn't wrestling for 7 years, but this was a phenomenal match. It was a good showing by CM Punk, in my honest opinion. And Darby Allin. I mean, I think this definitely put Darby Allin over way more than what he already was coming into this match. To a point where I thought Darby Allin was going to get the win at one point. But CM Punk looks like he's ready to go, man. He's super excited. You know, after the match, you see him holding up the one finger, like, you know, he got the first win. So it looks like CM Punk's going to be around for a while. Maybe we might see him be AEW World Heavyweight Champion at one point. Who knows, man? But I'm very excited with what's going to happen with CM Punk next. Who's going to be next for CM Punk, or who's going to be next for Darby Allin? Will Darby Allin and Sting go after the tag team championships? Who knows? But I'm very excited to see what's going to happen next with CM Punk. So hats off to CM Punk for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we go to our next match of the night as well. It is Paul White versus QT Marshall. It was a decent matchup. It was a back and forth matchup in the beginning, but Paul White was keeping the pace of the match, with Paul White hitting a finish, choke slam, if you will, on QT Marshall, pins him for the 3, and your winner of the match is Paul White. One thing I'll say about this match, man, if not two things. Number one, I hope this is a one-off for Paul White. He doesn't need to be in the ring, man. I'd rather have him on commentary. It was great to see him have a little, you know, fun in the ring, but hopefully it's a one-off. And two, I feel like this was that one match that was not needed. And not only that, does it really deserve to be, in my honest opinion, the co-main event of All Out. It just wasn't needed. It was like a 3-minute match. It just wasn't needed. You could have put that match on the buy-in, honestly. It just wasn't needed. But again, hats off to Paul White for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we go into the main event of All Out. It is Kenny Omega defending his AEW World Heavyweight Championship against Christian Cage. Again, this is a good matchup. It was a back and forth matchup between both Omega and Cage, with Omega keeping the pace of the match. Omega then hits a stomp off the apron onto Christian Cage with a table laying over Christian. It was absolutely brutal. Cage then gets up, spears Omega off the apron onto a table on the outside. The Elite are here. They end up showing up, Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. Omega then hits a one-winged angel off the top rope on Christian Cage, hitting him for the 3, and your winner of the match, and still AEW World Heavyweight Champion, is Kenny Omega. After the match, though, the Elite attack Cage. Kenny Omega gets on the microphone, just rambling on about, everything he's done in AEW, that there's really no challengers really for his AEW World Champion, even if they brought back somebody from the dead. After he literally had said that, the lights went out, lights came back on. You see this music playing, and then all of a sudden, it's none other than Adam Cole. That's right, Adam Cole is now all Elite. Adam Cole comes down to the ring, kind of staring down the Elite, telling them before, you kind of killed me before, you kind of killed me off, especially in there being the Elite series that they do on YouTube. And all of a sudden, you see Adam Cole hit a super kick on Jungle Boy, and then an all-out fight breaks out. Cole then tells the Elite that he is Elite. He embraces the Young Bucks and everything else like that. And then all of a sudden, Daniel Bryan shows up, or Bryan Danielson, I should say. He shows up. He is here. He ends up, a full-on attack happens, and that's pretty much the end of the night. A couple things I'm going to say about this, man, is, like I said earlier, AEW and what they're doing, it's changing the game. Completely changing the game. And honestly, that Forbidden Door, like I mentioned earlier with the Jon Moxley and Kojima match, cannot be any more open than what it is right now. AEW, I would say, in under 2 months, has changed the game. 2 of the biggest free agents in the world signed with this company in under 2 months, being CM Punk and Bryan Danielson, which is absolutely huge, man. And when Bryan came down to the ring, man, the crowd erupted. I mean, that whole now arena just went absolutely insane when Bryan Danielson showed up. And then we get Adam Cole. Adam Cole is a big-time name. A big-time name for himself in NXT, put on phenomenal matches. And to have Adam Cole with the Elite, again, a reunion, if you will, from so many years ago, their time in New Japan and Ring of Honor, and to have Adam Cole back with the Elite on AEW, it's just going to make AEW so much better. I mean, you're going to want to be in tune to every single thing that AEW has out right now, whether it be Elevation, AEW Dark, AEW Rampage, Dynamite. You're going to be wanting to be invested in and tune in because you just never know what's going to happen. You know, and the other thing I want to say too is I honestly think CM Punk is the catalyst of bringing these names over to AEW. A lot of people were mentioning, you know, CM Punk's shoes leading up to, I guess, if you will, All Out. And a lot of those initials kind of correlate with released superstars or free agents that are out there right now. And, you know, you had DB or BD for Bryan Danielson, then you had AC for Adam Cole, and then you had BW for Bray Wyatt, and CF possibly for Charlotte Flair. Now, I'm not saying that's 100% true right now, but it's kind of funny how CM Punk had these initials on his shoes with these people's initials practically, and these people are now showing up for AEW. You know, if you were to add a Bray Wyatt to this situation with AEW, man, possibly slide him into the Dark Order, AEW is here to change the game, folks. This is not, people would say what they want, that this is not competition. That's complete BS. This is competition. And right now it is looking extremely well for AEW and not so much WWE right now. A lot of people, there were some even people saying that current WWE talent are unhappy and are jealous of what's going on in AEW right now. And you know what? You should be. Because AEW right now, what they're doing is just, it's phenomenal, man. It's professional wrestling. Nobody cares about, you know, sports entertainment. Nobody cares about that. They want to see professional wrestling. And even after All Out went off the air, and you had Bryan Danielson on the microphone saying that he's here to wrestle, and that he's a wrestler, you know, praising the young talent that's on AEW, the guys and women that have been there from the beginning of the birth, of, if you will, of AEW, that have been there day in, day out, you know, putting the work in, you know, grinding, everything else like that, trying to make this company what it is right now. And for Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson to praise that, man, it's just absolutely phenomenal. I mean, a lot of people were even praising Darby Allin, they're praising Jungle Boy, and why not? These guys have been killing it right now, literally, over in AEW. With all the matches they had, I mean, the Jungle Boy versus Omega match that wasn't too long ago was phenomenal. You know, this talent that AEW has right now is just phenomenal, man. I mean, everybody's in tune. Everybody wants to see professional wrestling again. And I've stated this in the past, man. AEW is like the punk rock of professional wrestling. You know what I mean? And what the Bucks and everybody, Cody and Kenny Omega, Tony Khan, what the plan they had, making AEW, man, it's just, it's taken off to one hell of a ride, man. I mean, having CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, Adam Cole, all under the same roof as wrestlers, I mean, if you would have told me that 7 years ago, no way. Or even AEW for that matter, to be a new company in the States, no way. No way. Because we've seen it with WCW, and we all saw how that worked out. They folded. They got bought out by Vince McMahon. Right now, Tony Khan has the money. You know, he knows professional wrestling. He has a very good talent roster right now, and it's only getting better. You know, and he's going to continue to keep building this roster to be phenomenal. I mean, literally phenomenal. You know, will we see other talent come over? Will we possibly see Kevin Owens? Will we see AJ Styles? You know what I mean? Will we see all these guys reunite with the Bucks? You know, will we see more women talent come over, like the Iconics? Will they come over? You know, will we see Lana down the road? I don't know. But right now, what AEW is doing, man, is just absolutely insane. And it's crazy to see, man. It's awesome to watch. So this is my review of AEW's All Out. I hope you guys are out there staying safe, be careful, and remember, stay classy. Peace.